Alan Davidson here, better known to many of my friends and colleagues as Max. Today I just want to talk briefly about what I believe are assets that I can bring to the table and to that chamber of the Amherst Town Council, and also to the voters of Amherst. I believe that lived experience is very, very important. It's not just about my popularity as a candidate, it's about one's lived experience and the assets that these can be. First of all, I want to speak to when I was coaching skating and my later involvement as a judge evaluator for Skate Canada. During that time, it gave me the opportunity to not only be involved with the sport in the rink and by the boards, it also gave me the opportunity to sit behind the table and listen to what others thought. Boards and committees at the regional level, both in Newfoundland and British Columbia, as well as at the national level, where coaching matters were concerned earlier on in my career. I think this was the start of how I learned what politics were all about at the sporting level. And we all know you don't have to go very far from home to realize there is politics in sport. Having said that, I want to speak to my time as a member of the Union of Psychiatric Nurses in British Columbia, more often referred to back in those days as the UPN, as well as my involvement with the British Columbia Nurses Union, or as it's better known in those days as the BCNU. Talk about that in a bit. Early on, I was just a garden variety member of the union. Eventually, I was asked if I would take on the task of becoming a shop steward, something I did. I attended local meetings. I went to annual meetings of the union and quite enjoyed it. It was quite fun. But then I was asked if I would be president of the local that I was working at in the time, a local that consisted of 12 members. That was easy because those 12 members, we were like family. We worked as a team every day, every night. Yeah, it wasn't that hard at all. Unfortunately, the union decided to reorganize the locals, and as a result, we ended up with 500 members, literally overnight, in our local. They renamed the union, or the local renamed the union renamed our local from Local 5 to Local 105, and I was suddenly faced with the prospect of having to be president of a local with 500 members. It was a daunting task. I was nervous. I was scared. But you know what? I had an executive and people around me who were able to guide me and help me through those days. And I know, again, it was all about teamwork. Teamwork that is so important to the success of any council or any organization. Has to have teamwork. So yeah, I'm a team member. I'm a team player. A few years later in my career, at an annual meeting of the union, I was asked the night before elections if I would allow my name to stand for president of the union. Needless to say, I was a little bit nervous about doing this. I was not overly convinced that this was something I wanted to do. However, I did. Believe it or not, I was both humbled and honored to be elected president of that union. Something that I am proud to say today that I served for it might have been 3 years, several years anyway. And during that time, did I ever learn a lot about the politics of a union and the politics involved in negotiating union contracts with the government of British Columbia. Yeah, it was interesting. But again, I had an executive to work with and committee members to work with that allowed me to be successful and allowed me to gain the experience that I consider today to be an asset once and when elected to that vacant council seat. You know, it was during that time that I was actually involved on 3 negotiating teams for the British, for my union, along with the BCNU, our Registered Nurses Union. And we met both in Vancouver for meetings as well as in the capital in Victoria, and had to sit across the table from government negotiators. And believe me, those guys are tough. They don't want to give much away. You know what governments are like. They don't want to spend too much money. Anyway, we were successful. And again, it wasn't just about the teamwork on our side of the table. It was about the teamwork and the collaborative efforts of the negotiators from the government side. There was give and take on both sides. And that's what teamwork and collaborative work is about. Being able to negotiate and realize that you're going to have differences in thoughts, differences in ideas, but sit down and be able to negotiate those things in an amicable and friendly way. Fortunately, we came out all right in all three of those contract negotiations. Probably the most difficult time I've ever spent on a council or an executive was when I served as president of my strata council for the condominium complex I lived in New Westminster, a complex of over 100 units. We all of a sudden found ourselves faced with a very leaky roof, and that roof had to be replaced. And yeah, this was not good. This was not good news for the owners, including me. Suddenly, some owners, some of whom were not all that well off financially, found themselves facing special assessments ranging anywhere from $5,000 to up to $30,000, depending on the square footage of their unit. You can imagine, as taxpayers and voters, if you were suddenly faced or given a special assessment by the town of Amherst, and you suddenly had to pay them $12,000 or $15,000, you wouldn't be too happy. Needless to say, many of the owners in that complex weren't too happy either. It took months of meetings, not only of the Strata Council executive, but also with contractors as well as our owners, to get them finally to realize and approve that the budget and what needed to be done to get that roof replaced. Yeah, it was not easy. And believe me, I would rather sit across from a union negotiator, government or otherwise, any day than have to sit at a council meeting of a strata council, because those people you have to live with every day. Union negotiators, you only see them when you're in a meeting. Anyway, it was a great experience, and it is something that I feel as a candidate for that vacant council seat, that these are experiences that I can bring to the table. These are valid experiences. These are lived experiences. These are experiences and assets that I would like to bring to the town of Amherst and to our town council. There are 4 candidates running in this election, all of them very well known in the area. I'm probably the least well known, but I am a native of Amherst, Nova Scotia. I may not have lived here all my life, but I'm back now, and I'm back for good. I have no intention of leaving. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you haven't voted yet, remember, voting finishes 7 p.m. on Saturday. If you haven't voted yet, get out there and vote, because every vote does count. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified if I decide to make any more videos. Anyway, in the meantime, you folks have a great day. Stay warm, stay safe, stay healthy. Until the next time, bye for now.